Hey everybody, Denitza here with Homeschooling Mama. I pray and hope that my vlog finds you and your families doing well. It's been a while since I've made a vlog. I apologize for that. It's been extremely crazy and hectic, as I'm sure it has been for you, with the shelter in place, shut down, stay at home orders, whatever your particular state is calling it. I'm in California, so we're at a stay-at-home shelter in place. That's what our Governor Newsom is saying or calling it. How are you guys coping with it? I hope you guys are doing okay. I know for a while I was good. I was fine, but the last week or so, it's been extremely hard for me. I miss my parents. I miss my grandparents. My grandparents are 90 and 96 years old, so I can't really visit them because I'm terrified of bringing a bug to them, or God forbid I carry the COVID-19 or the coronavirus disease in me, and somehow they contract it from me. So I'm very, very cognizant of that. And I'm very, very afraid of that happening. So I haven't seen my grandparents since this whole thing started. I miss them. I can talk to my grandma on the phone. My grandpa, I can talk to him on the phone. But it's hard. It's really hard. My grandma's having a tough time with it as well. The last few days, like I said, have been extremely hard. I've been crying. I don't cry in front of the kids. Or my husband, I go into the bathroom and I have a good cry because I miss how life was just a few weeks ago. We were able to go out and hang out with friends and family, and man, I just realized how much I took for granted when we were able to freely move about, the world and not have to worry about anything. I miss my mom and dad. I see them, on FaceTime or whatever. Once in a while, I'll stop by and I'll be like, hi, but I don't get close to them. I haven't hugged my parents since this started, which is really hard for me. My dad is very high risk. So since, again, my husband works in the hospital, I stay away from everyone because that's not in my household, which is myself, my husband, and my kids, because I don't know if I'm carrying something, and I don't want to give it to my grandparents. I don't want to give it to my mom or my dad, and I don't want to give it to anyone just, in my society, in my little city here. I would feel really, really, really guilty should that happen. So it's been pretty hard. Like I said, at first it's been good. I mean, it was okay. I was good. But now it's just extremely hard. And what's up with the toilet paper? I don't know why everyone's got to hoard the toilet paper, but stop, please. If you're hoarding it, stop. And paper towels. It has taken me 3 weeks almost to be able to find paper towels and napkins. I mean, that's just how bad it is here in California. How about where you're at? Is it insane with people just hoarding paper goods? I don't understand why you would hoard paper goods and you wouldn't go out and get dry foods, powdered milk, stuff like that. It's just weird to me. But so I hope you're coping. I hope you're doing better than I am. But this video is actually a different video than what I'm used to filming. I'm a tax preparer, as you guys know. So right now I'm not meeting with anybody. All of my tax appointments I do are now via Zoom or Skype. But I feel that since the COVID-19 relief from the IRS has basically been passed. It passed the Senate, passed the House, blah, blah. And it's now starting to come up and being written in stone on the IRS website. I wanted to share with you guys just some updates about it. Maybe you guys have been wondering what this relief is. I'm going to touch a little bit on that. I'm going to touch on a little bit of the stimulus payments, or credits rather, that will be issued out within the next few weeks if all goes good from the IRS. So I'm going to go ahead and just make a disclaimer that this is not tax advice. I am not advising you on anything. I am just relaying the information to you from the IRS and from the trainings that I have received. So I do want to point out there's been a ton of scams from scammers saying ever since the stimulus checks have been announced. So just keep in mind the IRS will never, ever, ever call you for your social, for an account number, for any type of verification. They will never call you. The only mode of communication from the IRS is through mail. But even with the mail and letters, you still have to be very careful. Make sure you look at the letters if you receive anything from the IRS. A lot of these scammers will put, like, obviously a bad address on where to mail a payment, or they'll put in like some bad spelling. So just be cognizant of that, okay, if you receive anything from the IRS. So with that said, again, I wanted to go over this with you. So COVID-19 relief tax update. Okay. So the tax deadline for federal has been extended to July 15th, 2020. If you see me looking down, I have my notes because I want to make sure I hit all my points. So excuse me for that. No extension would be needed for the July 15th, 2020 date. That is just only for 2020 or the 2019 tax year. It's a temporary one-time date move. So normally tax day is April 15th every year unless it's a holiday or a weekend. This year it's now July 15th. Okay. Now, again, there's no extension needed. It's just an automatic date switch. Okay. So let's see, payments of taxes due. So if you owe any payments on your 2019 tax returns, those are also have been extended for you to pay July 15th, 2020 instead of April 15th, 2020 this year. It'll be free of penalties. It'll be free of interest. That'll all be waived from now until July 15th. However, you have to file and you have to pay your taxes that are due on or before July 15th, 2020. Otherwise, if you go a day late, then the IRS is going to hit you with penalties. They're going to hit you with interest. So the key date now is July 15th, 2020 for everything. Now you can always file a further extension, which normally is something that you can apply for anyway in April, but this extension would be until October 15th. But just remember, any payments after July 15th, if you do that October 15th extension that you are allowed to do, you will start accruing interest and penalties. So just know that. Let's see. So contributions to like your retirement accounts, IRAs, HSA, health savings accounts, you can still contribute those to get a tax break until July 15th of 2020. Let's see. The only forms that really have not been extended are forms, and you would know this if you have like an LLC, which is a limited liability corporation or something, or a partnership. It would be the 1065 form. They ended up not being extended after all. They said it was going to be, but now it's not. So those were due March 15th for those of you who have a March 15th filing date. So those are still due. So if you haven't filed that 1065, then you're late. Refund dates have not changed, meaning it's still taking up to 21 days if you expect a refund. If you get if you receive EIC, which is earned income credit, it may take a little longer due to the PATH Act. So high deductible, high payment plans. So those high deductible plans are going to cover expenses, all expenses for COVID-19. So testing, treatment, hospital stays, whatever it is, even if you didn't meet the deductible, according to the IRS and the president, that will be covered. Okay, so you don't have to worry about that. For small businesses, if you own a small business, you're able to get low interest loans up to $2 million. And you would apply for that through the SBA Economic Disaster Loan Program. Okay, sorry, you're going to hear me turning pages because I want to make sure I get everything. So compliance relief. So if you owe on existing taxes or back taxes, installment agreements, if you have a payment plan with the IRS that were due April 1st through July 2020, those are suspended for right now. The interest will accrue, but the IRS will not consider this a default on payment. So that's a little bit of a relief there for compliance. OIC, which is any offers and compromises that you have, the due date would be July 15th. Field collection, so if you have any liens or levies, those are suspended until July 15th as well of 2020. The IRS will not send you to a private debt collector at this time through July 15th, 2020. So through the CARES Act, so the tax portions for small business, so for loans, you can get, if you're a small business, you can get a help with payroll, loans for payroll, your mortgage, your lease, your utilities, etc. You can get a small business forgiveness up to $1 million, and you can ask for grants for emergencies up to $10,000. And again, that's to help pay for whatever expenses you have. So the CARES Act for individuals, excuse me while I'll take a sip. So unemployment. So you know unemployment is normally 26 weeks. So they have now, Congress has now extended it, unemployment, to 39 weeks. And the amount that you'll receive is increased by $600 a week. So say you have $300 in unemployment, right? So that's increased to by $600. So you'll now have a $900 payment per week. Okay, so it does increase by $600, whatever, and that was a hypothetical. So whatever you're getting now, so if it's $200 payment a week, then that'll be increased to $600. So you would do the math there. So there's also help through unemployment for those with reduced hours due to COVID-19. So if your hours have been cut, obviously your pay's been cut. So you would be able to contact unemployment for help with that if you're an individual, which is awesome. Rebates. So the credit, AGI limitations, and this would be for the stimulus package. I'm going to touch just a little bit on it here. It's a credit against tax. So you would get you can get up to $1,200 or $2,400 if you're married filing jointly, plus $500 for each qualifying child. And remember, there are certain tests that you have to meet in order to be a qualifying for them for your child to be a qualifying child. And one of them is they have to be under 17 years old. And it is limited by income. So since it's a credit and not a tax payment, what's nice is it's not taxable. Okay, so it's considered to be non-taxable. Your retirement account withdrawals from like your IRAs, you can go ahead and withdraw without having to pay the 10% penalty if the distribution is coronavirus related. Okay, it has to be coronavirus related, and you can take out up to 100,000, and that's from January 20th of this year to the end of the year. Okay, so if you repay the amount back, it's considered a rollover payment. So the amount that you borrow, if you pay it back, is considered a rollover payment. So no tax would be due, and you can elect to pay it however much money you took out over 3 years, only if it's COVID related. Okay, if you're taking it out to fix a leak or something in your house or plumbing, that's not COVID-19 related. So it has to be something directly related to COVID-19. You can still claim up to $300 now in charitable contributions, which can be taken above the line. So it's an above the line deduction. And the AGI, or the adjusted gross income limit, is suspended for that for 2020. So the credit AGI limits, it's late over here. So since it's a credit, like I said, it's not taxable. So married filing jointly, you do have phase outs. So the minimum would be $150,000, and then it would phase out for the stimulus at $198,000, and that's for married filing jointly. For people claiming head of household, your income is between $112,500 up to $146,500, which is the phase out max limit. And then other, so like if you're single, or if you're like possibly married filing separately, I'm still waiting to hear on that one. It would, and you make between $75,000 to $99,000. $99,000 would be the phase out limit. And to go with the AGI limitations, so it's a decreased amount by 5% over the amount of the thresholds that I told you, or you can, or it's will start phasing out for it, so it's a little easier for you to understand, at a rate of $5 for every $100 you make above whatever that threshold limit is. Okay, so let's see. So the CARES Act for business, I won't go into that too much. Just know that payroll taxes are deferred by 0.5%, or by 1/2 until December 31st of 2021. Balance is deferred until December 21st, 2022. Let's see. So business interest income expense limit, it increases interest allowed to deduct by increasing the 30% off limitations. And you would know what this is if you have a business. So instead of it being 30%, it's now going to be 15% of taxable income. And what's nice is when the new, when our president came in and changed the tax code, he took away the meal expenses for businesses. Now he's trying to get it to be approved again to put back into the next few years worth of tax returns. So that way, as he says, he can get employers to take their clients out to restaurants to eat again. So it's to help businesses, but it's also the business that you're in. And it's also to help the restaurant business, because they're losing out on a lot of money right now. So something that would be probably more interesting to you guys, The CARES Act for education portions. So emergency aid, okay? So federal work study students will still get paid. So if you're in college and you're getting paid for credits or however that works, you're still going to get paid. Let's see. So employer paid loans up to $5,250 for student loan repayments will not be considered income in 2020. Other years it would be considered income because your employer is giving you $5,250 for the employer reimbursement program to help pay down your student loans for repayment. But this year for 2020 tax year, it's not going to be included in income. So when you do your taxes next year, it will not be income. Okay, and grants, Pell limits have been extended, and grants loans do not have to be repaid for not being able to finish the semester. I used to be a financial aid counselor way back in the day, and if you didn't finish at least 51% of your class, you would have to pay back the amount that you use. So for 2020 this year, that's going to be taken care of. Your student will not have to worry about that. Student loans. So grace period before repayment doesn't include the time that they couldn't attend school due to the coronavirus. So normally when you graduate school, like say you graduate in May, you have 6 months in which you have a grace period to repay your loans. Well, anytime you're out of school for a determined amount of length, like even a week, 2 weeks, a month, what have you, that actually takes off of that 6 months grace period. So they're saying now that that's not, and rightfully so, that this time that they're not able to take, students are not able to take classes, it's not going to mess up their 6-month deferment, say if they graduate in May. Okay, so that's good. That's awesome right there. Let's see. So Department of Education loans, payments are suspended through September 30th. No interest will accrue at that time. Any collections will be suspended. If you're behind on your auto pay for your student loans, or if you're current on your student loans, you have to request a suspension. So you have to call Sallie Mae, Nelnet, Department of Ed, what have you, and request that suspension. Let's see. So this was really interesting. CARES Act, the consumer portion. So taxpayers can make an agreement with creditors to defer payments up to 120 days, and that's beginning retroactively as of January 31st of 2020. Now, I don't know the ins and outs of that, so I would believe that that is something that you actually have to take up with your creditor, like Capital One, Visa, American Express. So you would have to call them up and ask them for that if that's what you need. Federally backed mortgage loans, taxpayers that are having a financial hardship because of COVID-19 can request a forbearance by submitting a request up to 180 days. So you have to contact your lender. No new foreclosures will be allowed for delinquent taxpayers, which is great, until we're over this hump of the coronavirus. So we don't know how long it's going to take. We don't know how long it's going to be. So it's kind of open-ended on the IRS part right now. Evictions. So no new evictions will be allowed during this time. Unfortunately, they don't say anything about what happens when things go back to normal. Hopefully they won't evict you because you were, once things go back to normal because you were behind payments. I don't know how that's going to work. So we'll have to stay tuned for that pretty much. So definitely you're going to want to check with your state as far as extensions. Some states do not conform to federal regulations and laws. Like California is a non-conforming state, but for this time, they actually are conforming to federal law. So state extensions for the 90 days to change. So they're agreeing to change the due date from April 15th on the state level to July 15th. These are the list of states that will comply: Alabama, Arizona, Arkansas, California, Colorado, Delaware, District of Columbia, Georgia, Hawaii, Illinois, Indiana, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Maine, Maryland, Massachusetts, Michigan. And do you guys hear the 50 Nifty United States song while I'm reading that? I've been teaching that to my kids. So anyway, I digress. So Minnesota, Missouri, Montana, Nebraska, New Mexico, New York State, North Carolina, South Dakota, Ohio, Oklahoma, Oregon, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, South Carolina, Utah, Vermont, West Virginia, and Wisconsin. So those are the states that are doing the 90-day extension for the new tax date going from April 15th to July 15th. Okay, so the non-conforming states are Idaho. They've only extended it out 60 days. So if you live in Idaho, your state is due, your state tax returns and payments and all that are due June 15th, 2020. For Iowa, they're also non-conforming. These are the list of non-conforming now. They extended the filing and payment deadlines for income, franchise, money, and credit taxes with the due date on or after March 19th and before July 31st to a new deadline of July 31st, 2020. Now, I'm not familiar with all the ins and outs of all these other states. So you'll want to look on your state. Like we have franchise tax board in California. So you're going to want to look at your state tax board to see any other information on that. Mississippi, you have until May 15th to file your Mississippi state taxes. New Jersey, nothing yet. So if you live in New Jersey, you still have to file your state return by April 15th. Federal, no, but state, yes. For Virginia, any income payments due from April 1st through June 1st of 2020 can now be submitted to your Department of Taxation at any time on or before June 1st, 2020 without a penalty. Okay, so those are the non-conforming states. So pretty much all the states have conformed except those few. So the altered tax dates once again. For federal income tax return, July 15th, 2020. Federal income tax payments, July 15th, 2020. Quarter one estimated tax payments. So if you didn't have quite enough taxes taken out because maybe you're self-employed, the first payment is now going to be July 15th. Okay. But oddly enough, the second quarter estimated tax payments, they didn't budge on that one. That one is still June 15th. So second quarter estimated payments, you still have to file, or you still have to pay whatever that amount is on June 15th. But the first quarter estimated payment has been moved to July 15th. So quarter one, July 15th, quarter two, still June 15th. So optional suspension of OIC, which is offer and compromise payments, will be until July 15th. Optional suspension of installment agreements that you have with the IRS, which is like a payment plan, July 15th. If you need more time to file, you can use Form 4868 to request an extension, or you can always contact me via my Facebook tax business website, DR Financial Services, and or you can just DM me here and I can help you with that for free, the extension. Okay, so the extra extension gives you time to file and pay until October 15th, which is how it is every year. Normally tax day is April 15th, unless it's on a weekend or a holiday. You can't file for on that date for whatever reason. You can't pay on that date for whatever reason. You can request an extension until October 15th. So that's still the same. But instead of April 15th this year, it'll be July 15th. Now just remember that even if you do request this extension until October 15th, you will still have to pay penalties and interest, because they're only waiving penalties and interest until July 15th. Okay. And all this is true as of today, which is March 31st, the day of this recording. So things are constantly changing. They're changing rapidly. So something that I quoted today may be completely irrelevant tomorrow or next week. So don't take anything that I say 100% to heart, because the IRS, the federal government, they like to change things. So, and this CARES Act has been changed many times. I believe the first edition of this CARES Act was originally 2,400 pages. Now it's down to 880 pages. So you see how they cut a lot of it out and changed it. So again, this is just as of this recording. Things can always change. Even those non-conforming states, they may even change to conform. Who knows? So if you have any questions about the tax update, stimulus package, I can answer your questions to the best of my knowledge at this time. And I'm sure more information will be coming through the line. So I will try to keep you guys updated with that. Again, if you need any tax help, feel free to DM me, email me. You can visit also my Facebook business page. Again, DR Financial Services. Okay? And I would be more than happy to help you. Well, that is really all that I have for you for tonight. Like I said, it's definitely a different type of vlog that you guys are used to. You guys are used to me doing product or curriculum reviews, hauls, all of that good stuff. But I just wanted to take the time out again to check in with you guys to see how everyone's doing. I pray that you guys are fine and you guys are coping well. And I wanted to also go over these new tax updates for you and with you. So again, if you have any questions, feel free to contact me. Please feel free to share this video. Please feel free to share any of my videos. Feel free to share my YouTube page, my Facebook page as well. I would really appreciate it. Subscribe below. And don't forget to click on that little alarm so that way you can get notifications every time I post something, okay? Again, I hope everyone's safe. I hope everyone's okay. God bless. Take care of yourselves. Stay inside so you don't get sick or you don't get others sick, okay? I will talk to you soon. Take care.